For the final leg of my adventure through southern Africa, I headed east out of Cape Town along South Africa's stunning southern coastline to the gorgeous seaside town of Hermanus, known for being one of the best places in the world for whale watching. Then it was onward to the southernmost point on the African continent, Cape Agulhas. Saying goodbye to Zimbabwe, I had quite the journey getting back to Cape Town, South Africa. From Victoria Falls, I flew all the way back to Windhoek, Namibia, where I then boarded another flight down to Cape Town.
Cruising altitude to 34,000 feet. Friend and colleague James and myself will be taking you down to Cape Town as the Andrew's looking after you.
The flight down to Cape Town was flat out gorgeous, as we flew over the famous Kalahari Desert. This massive desert spans a vast area across Namibia, Botswana, and a bit of South Africa. After landing in Cape Town, I immediately grabbed my rental car and began to drive towards Hermanus, where I would be staying for the next few days. The drive took me east of Cape Town, past Somerset West, and then on through some of the most stunning farm and mountain scenery I had ever seen. This made me think that a future road trip along the famous garden route would certainly be a good idea. I could only imagine what incredible scenery lies further down the coast. Just before arriving in Hermanus, I decided to make a quick stop in Sandby for a short walk along the beach to stretch my legs. After all, it had been quite a long journey up until that point that day. By late afternoon, I arrived in Hermanus. I was immediately stunned at the beauty of this town, particularly with the fresh air, gorgeous architecture, and the unbelievable views of the rugged coast. For me at least, this place was relaxation, peace, and quiet, something I definitely wanted before returning home from my trip. While walking around, I came upon some of Hermanus's resident rock hyraxes, which can be seen foraging in the area by the cliffside. These adorable animals are also known as dassies in South Africa. Interestingly, their closest relatives are not rodents, but actually elephants and manatees, although they are quite a bit smaller than their larger cousins. Before settling in for the evening, I walked around the town a bit, grabbed a bite to eat, and got to watch the gorgeous sun go down as the waves continuously crashed over the nearby rocks. It was the perfect way to wrap up a long day of travel. The next morning, I left Hermanus and headed straight for Cape Agulhus, the southernmost point of Africa. The drive took me east of Hermanus, primarily through beautiful countryside and farmland. After a couple of hours on the road, I made it to Strasby and the nearby Cape Agulhus, which is easily recognizable by the iconic red and white lighthouse that sits close to the shore and which has been there since 1849. It is currently the second oldest working lighthouse in South Africa. Once you drive past the lighthouse, there's a small parking area on your left, and from there, you can walk to the actual southernmost point in Africa. It was a bit rainy and windy when I arrived, but the slightly turbulent weather definitely set the mood for exploring the area. Once you arrive, you will see they have a large 3D map of the African continent, and just in front of that there is a plaque that marks the exact southernmost spot. Interestingly, this place is also where the Atlantic Ocean meets the Indian Ocean, and the area around the Cape has quite shallow water and is rumored to be one of the best places for fishing in South Africa. The coastline there was just beautiful, with green vegetation and a craggy beach. It was awesome to watch the waves continuously crash into the rocks. After exploring the area for an hour or so, the wind picked up and I decided to head back to Hermanus to enjoy the rest of the day. I figured it would be nice to explore some of the local shops and perhaps see if any whales were swimming near the shore. After all, October is one of the best months for whale watching in Hermanus. The overcast weather made the afternoon stroll around town all the more pleasant. The town is also home to a wide variety of bars and restaurants, so there are plenty of places to perch yourself for a couple of hours and enjoy watching life go by. I was lucky to spot quite a few southern right whales swimming just off of the cliffs, the same whales we had seen on our boat trip in Gunsby. The nice thing about Hermanus is that you can just stand by the sidewalk and watch them, as they really do come that close to the shore. That's a weird cloud formation. Look at that. This is a little bizarre. The next morning, after a wonderful breakfast, I said goodbye to Hermanus and headed back to Cape Town, where I would be spending my last night in South Africa. As I still had my rental car with me, I thought a scenic drive around the city was definitely in order. Since it was a part of the Cape I hadn't explored yet, I decided to take the drive from Hout Bay, along the coast, and on up to Camps Bay, which was rumored to be one of the most scenic places in the area around Cape Town. The drive along the coast was unlike anything I had ever seen. It was simply jaw-dropping. The weather was perfect, the water was turquoise blue, and the sun was shining. I actually ended up driving back and forth up the coast again and again, as one time was simply not enough. If you ever find yourself visiting Cape Town, make sure to not miss this area on your trip. After a couple of hours driving up and down the coast, I headed to my hotel for the night as I had to pack for my flight the next day. It was sadly my last night before leaving, but at least I was able to catch one last Cape Town sunset. South Africa, from the people to the wildlife to the landscapes, left me with nothing but wonderful memories, and my only regret is having not visited this country sooner. I will surely be back.